Before I review this facsimile here, a short disclaimer. I bought it using my own money, no one has asked me to do this review, and no one is paying me to do it. As for my background, I do German fencing, but I do longsword, not Messer. So my knowledge of, well, the contents of this book are extremely limited. So very shortly about what is a facsimile so that you have an idea what we are talking about. A facsimile is an exact copy, usually an old book, a manuscript, such as in this case, a painting or some other historical item. What the word exact in this case means kinda differs. For example, this is not 100% copy of the original version of this book, as we don't actually know how the covers were, so of course they couldn't be copied. But more about this later in this review. Then let's take a look at the specs of this facsimile. So I paid $350 American for this book and $70 for shipping to Finland. So this is in no way a cheap book. The facsimile is printed on cotton rag paper, which is the same size as the original, which is 207 by 300 millimeters. The facsimile is also bound according the original quire structure. To my understanding, it's quite different from what modern books are, and it is also quite a more expensive to actually produce. Just like the original, the edges of the pages are also gilded in gold. However, there is apparently a pattern in the gilding in the original book, which no one actually knows how to replicate, so again, not 100% accurate. This facsimile, or the original manuscript, is actually quite a hefty piece. It has 217 folia, which turns to 434 pages, so there is a lot of content here, especially for a book this old. The covers of this facsimile are a half pint, so there's a half of the book covered in pigskin, and the boards are of beech. Both of these are historically accurate for the period from which the original manuscript is from. As I said, these are not the original covers of this manuscript, as the original piece was rebound somewhere in the 1960s, and the library doesn't actually know what the original covers looked like. They know that the manuscript was half bind like this, but that is as much as we have. As half bind manuscripts from the period would have blind tooling on the leather, this also has, but as we don't have the original covers to check for what it looked like, the tooling has been copied from another manuscript. As such, sadly we don't know the covers of the original, but this is pretty much as close as we are going to get with this specific manuscript. There was also available a bit more affordable version of this facsimile, which didn't have the half-bind covers. Instead, it had linen covered covers with basic cover boards. But at that point, it's basically no longer a facsimile of the original, but from what I've heard, it is still a very nice book with a high quality print of the original manuscript. But at $200, that's not cheap either. The link to the Indiegogo profile of Hima Bookshelves is in the description of this video, so you can go and take a look at what they have at offer at this point. Maybe one of the new campaigns has this as an option, as historically the newer campaigns have offered the previous books, at least at some capacity. But what manuscript is this facsimile actually based on? The original manuscript is a Messerfencing Treatise by a German author called Johannes Lecklycke, and I'm probably pronouncing that horribly wrong. The original manuscript was finished in very early 1482, and it is based on Lecklycke's earlier manuscript from 1478. Compared to that earlier manuscript, this has much more content, and this is also fully illustrated. The original manuscript currently resides in the Bavarian State Library in München, Germany. The Wiktenauer page for this manuscript is in the description of this video, so if you are interested in the exact contents of this manuscript, go and take a look. The manuscript is a fully illustrated version of Lecklycke's teachings on messer fencing. The manuscript was finished the year Lecklycke died. This manuscript has over 400 high-quality illustrations of the fencing system. Again, just go to the Wiktenauer page and see the contents for yourself. As with the previous HEMA bookshelves facsimiles, this facsimile is just gorgeous. The covers are absolutely beautiful, especially I love the half bind. The leather feels nice, the wooden boards feels nice, the cotton rag paper really feels nice when you are flipping through the book. And the scans and the print quality is just top notch. Also, the gilding on the edges of the pages looks really nice. All in all, this is a fantastically nice looking facsimile. Then, who is this facsimile actually meant for? Personally, I see this as a collector's piece. This is a limited offer, expensive facsimile. And as it doesn't have translated text, it has very limited use as a learning tool. That doesn't mean that this is actually the intended use of this facsimile. That is just my view on what this is best suited for. What I understand to be the intended use for this, and what I see this being a very valuable tool for, is bringing the age in HEMA to students of HEMA all around the world. The age being the historical part. With this, people have the access to something very similar to the original manuscripts, which they can actually handle. For obvious reasons, people really don't have access to the original manuscripts because there are not too many of them and they are rather easily breakable. With this, you can get your hands on one, go through the book and see how it was in its original state, or at least something very close to that, at somewhat affordable price, that is. I don't really see this as being a big part of anyone's HEMA training. All of the material is already available online, just go to the Wiktenauer page. It's also translated, so you don't have to, try to read the old handwritten German yourself. And if you want to actually try to translate it yourself, the transcripts are also available online for free. When it comes to buying this for HEMA training, this should be basically at the bottom of your equipment list, or not at the list in the first place. This is not going to make you a better HEMAist in the sense of being able to use your weapon. From the point of HEMA training, I see the value of this facsimile being fully in the historical aspect. This can give you something modern equipment can't, and that is a look at the history. So then for the conclusions. From just the historical perspective, this is one of the biggest and most important writings in the Lichtenauer system. or at least I see this as being part of the Lichtenauer system. I also think that this is, at least for someone who doesn't actually train Messe, as being one of the most important manuals in the Messe fencing systems. As such, the historical value of this manuscript and then having a facsimile of it is something I can't state too much. This facsimile is also, in my opinion, again, historically accurate enough, and I think for most people this is even more historically accurate than they would need to have the feeling of what a manuscript like this is. From there we get to the big question, is this worth the asking price? Because this is not a cheap book. In my opinion, yes. Just the amount of work it takes to produce a book like this justifies the asking price easily. This is a very beautifully made and extremely high quality facsimile of an important manuscript in the historical German fencing systems. As such, I'm extremely happy with my purchase. So now that I've stated that, in my opinion, this is worth the asking price, should you get one if you still can? It greatly depends on what you want it for. If you are a collector or you want to get your hands on a accurate reproduction of an original manuscript, yeah, sure, I think this can be definitely worth your money. I think that this is a great purchase for clubs which do this style of Messe fencing, because if a club purchases one of these books for the same amount of money, a lot more people can get their hands on it. If your club has, let's say, 20 people training Messe fencing, and then those students are able to flip through the book and handle it, the expense per person for a facsimile like this is not that much, and this gives a great insight to the historical side of the art. On the other hand, if you are just a Messe student and want to get a Messe manual, don't get this. The information is available online, and this is not a good book to study from, especially if you are a beginner. But if you are someone like me who just loves physical books, collecting them, and has a soft spot for collectible items like this is a great purchase. So that was my review of HEMA Bookshelf's Kunst des Messefechtens facsimile. If you liked the video, please leave a like, and if you like content like this or cutting related stuff and just generally HEMA stuff, please subscribe to my channel. See you next time.